I am responsible for my energy. This simple phrase is more than a sentence. It is a foundation. It is a way of seeing oneself not as a passive receiver of life, but as a conscious participant in shaping every moment. To recognize that you are the one responsible for your energy is to step away from blame, away from victimhood, and into presence. Often people wait for the world to align with their preferences before they decide to feel at peace. They wait for silence before calming the mind. They wait for kindness before offering it. They wait for motivation before taking action. But energy does not follow the world. The world follows energy. The way you sit, the way you breathe, the way you speak and move, it either transmits clarity or it spreads confusion. You become a transmitter of what you cultivate. And when you say, I am responsible for my energy, you begin to withdraw the fingers you've been pointing at others, at circumstances, at life, and you start pointing them inward. That is where transformation lives. From the moment you wake up, your energy begins to set a tone. The first thought in the morning is like the opening note of a melody. Is it worry? Is it gratitude? You may not choose the first thought, but you can choose what to do with it. You can reshape your internal landscape by simply becoming aware. What are you carrying into your day? A mind running in 10 directions cannot meet the moment in front of it. A body rushed in its movements cannot recognize peace. You are not only allowed but required to protect your energy, because every interaction you enter, you bring that energy with you. Whether it is a conversation with a friend or the silence you spend with yourself, your energy paints the space. There will always be people who try to pull you into their chaos. There will always be unexpected events that try to sway your inner stillness. That is the nature of the world. But your inner space does not have to be public property. Just as you would not leave your door open for anyone to walk into your home, you should not leave your inner peace open for anything to walk into your mind. Being responsible for your energy means creating a boundary, not out of arrogance, but out of clarity. It is the discipline to say, I will not let this moment dictate who I am. I will let who I am dictate how I meet this moment. Your energy is your responsibility. That means choosing your response. When anger arises, observe it, breathe, and respond instead of react. When fear shows up, acknowledge it, but don't feed it with stories. When joy visits, welcome it fully, without guilt or overthinking. The mastery lies not in suppressing emotions, but in allowing them to rise and fall without letting them take control. Responsibility is not about control in the rigid sense. It is about awareness, choice, and consistency. Every time you say, they made me feel this way, you hand your energy to someone else. You give them the keys to your inner world. But when you take responsibility, you realize no one can truly make you feel anything unless you agree. You become the gatekeeper. You begin to live not in reaction to life, but in alignment with your inner values. This is a powerful shift. A warrior of the mind does not wait for perfect conditions. They create the right energy even in imperfect conditions. And this is not a fantasy, it is a practice. There will be days when you feel low, tired, uncertain. Being responsible for your energy doesn't mean you have to be positive all the time. It means you are honest with what you feel and intentional with what you do. It means that even in tiredness, you move with grace. Even in sadness, you protect your words. Even in fear, you choose your focus. This is not performance. It is self-respect. People often think energy is something that just happens to them. But energy is generated. It is cultivated through breath, movement, thought, rest, food, and especially silence. When you sit in silence, your energy recalibrates. When you slow your breath, your energy sharpens. Every moment you return to presence, you reclaim your energy. And in a world that constantly pulls you outward, this is an act of strength. When you tell yourself every morning, I am responsible for my energy, you remind yourself that nothing outside you can define your state unless you allow it. You walk into your day like a calm warrior, carrying peace, not because the world gave it to you, but because you chose to carry it. This choice becomes your practice. Your practice becomes your habit. Your habit becomes your character, and your character becomes your destiny. Every interaction becomes a test. Will I bring my energy, or will I absorb theirs? Will I act from centeredness or from reaction? These questions are not meant to create tension, but awareness. Once you're aware, you begin to choose. Once you choose often enough, it becomes who you are. And then, no matter where you go, you bring light into rooms that have forgotten what stillness feels like. You become the calm in the storm, the grounded voice in the noise, the steady presence in a distracted world. Not because you're trying to be special, but because you're being responsible. Being responsible for your energy also means resting when necessary. It means knowing when to step back, when to be still, when to say no. Responsibility is not about pushing endlessly. It's about managing your energy like a sacred resource. You cannot serve the world if your cup is empty. So you rest not out of laziness, but out of wisdom. You breathe not because you're tired, but because you're learning to live deeply. You move not just to finish the task, but to move consciously and awake. Each morning, when you rise, remember this truth. You are not a container to be filled by the day. You are a light to meet the day. Whether the sky is gray or clear, whether your to-do list is long or short, whether your path feels clear or confusing, you are still the one who gets to decide. What energy do I carry into this moment? The answer to that question will shape your day, and over time, it will shape your life. Say it, feel it, live it. I am responsible for my energy. I let go of yesterday. This is not an escape from memory, nor is it denial of the past. It is a quiet yet powerful practice of choosing not to be imprisoned by what has already ended. The mind, by its very nature, clings to repetition. It holds on to wounds, regrets, achievements, and fears, constantly reactivating yesterday's emotions within today's body. When you wake up and carry the weight of the day before, you rob today of its clarity. Letting go of yesterday is a decision to stop poisoning the present with what cannot be changed. It is not an act of forgetting, but of releasing. Releasing the grip of judgment, releasing the need to replay conversations, releasing the identity that was shaped by past reactions. When you hold on to yesterday, you are reacting not to life, but to memory. And when your actions are rooted in memory, they are no longer free. The past is heavy, not because of what happened, but because of how tightly we grip it. Every time we revisit a painful event, we relive its emotions. We reopen the wound. The mind believes that constant analysis will somehow resolve the pain. But often, what we need is not more thinking. It is allowing. Allowing the pain to pass through. Allowing the story to end. Letting go of yesterday means trusting that you do not need to carry every part of your history with you. What must remain, remains. The rest must be allowed to dissolve. This is not easy. The ego finds safety in the familiar, even if the familiar is painful. It prefers known suffering over unknown peace. But growth requires shedding. The tree cannot bloom unless it lets go of its old leaves. The sky cannot shine unless the storm passes. Your spirit cannot rise while your mind clutches the past. Every morning you are given a chance to begin again, but you must meet this chance with clean hands. Imagine trying to carry water in a jar that is already filled with dust. It will never be pure. The same is true with your thoughts. If your first thoughts in the morning are regrets, worries, or self-criticism from yesterday, your present moment becomes polluted. You cannot see clearly. You act not from wisdom, but from residue. To let go is not weakness, it is courage. It takes great strength to say, yesterday taught me something, and now I release it. Letting go of yesterday also means detaching from victories. Just as pain can blind us, so can pride. Yesterday's success does not entitle us to today's peace. Each moment must be earned through awareness, humility, and presence. If we become attached to past victories, we begin to walk with arrogance. We forget that life moves on, always evolving. Holding on to the good can be just as dangerous as holding on to the bad if it prevents you from staying open. Letting go of both sides is to return to the center, to remember that every day is a new opportunity, not a continuation of your story, but a blank page. People often say they want to be free, but freedom begins not with the world, but with what you are willing to set down. Can you release the anger you felt yesterday? Can you forgive the harsh words? Can you let go of how you were misunderstood? Can you loosen your grip on your image, your performance, your expectations? Every one of these is a form of yesterday that can entangle you if you are not aware. Releasing them does not mean you become passive, it means you become light. And in this lightness, you gain the ability to move forward, not by force, but by alignment. Letting go also applies inwardly. Can you forgive yourself for how you acted yesterday? Can you look at your mistakes without shame and say, I did the best I could with the awareness I had? Self-judgment is one of the most toxic forms of attachment to the past. It paralyzes your potential. It clouds your clarity. You are not who you were. You are who you are willing to become now. But to become something new, you must shed the layers of old narratives. The story of failure, the story of rejection, the story of not being enough. These are echoes of yesterday. You don't need to silence them. You just need to stop answering when they call. Letting go is a daily practice. It does not happen all at once. You may wake up feeling the weight again. That's okay. The mind is persistent. But each time you return to the breath, each time you choose stillness over rumination, you are loosening the knot. Slowly, your nervous system begins to trust that it no longer needs to defend the past. Your heart begins to soften, your thoughts become less rigid, and you begin to feel the presence of now as a sacred space, not contaminated by what came before, but alive with what is. You don't need a ritual, you just need sincerity. Before you step into the world each morning, sit with yourself for a few breaths. Close your eyes, feel what you are still holding on to. Is it an old resentment? A fear that yesterday's pattern will repeat? A regret over what you didn't say? A disappointment with how things turned out? A pride in a past version of yourself? Let each one surface. Greet it. And then, with compassion, say to it, thank you for what you've taught me, but I no longer need to carry you. Feel it drop, not with force, but with grace, one thought at a time, one emotion at a time. This is how you cleanse the mind. This is how you return to your true nature. Not by becoming someone new, but by removing what no longer serves. When you let go of yesterday, you don't lose who you are, you uncover who you are. the essence beneath the roles, the awareness beneath the noise, the presence that exists before memory. Every morning you wake up, you are not required to be who you were. You are invited to become who you are. Let that be your practice. Let that be your peace, and let that be your power. Letting go of yesterday is the most generous gift you can give yourself and the most sacred offering you can give to today. I choose presence over perfection. This is not a phrase of convenience, it is a commitment to live in reality rather than fantasy. Perfection is always somewhere else, an ideal that never fully arrives. It is the endless chase for a moment without flaw, a version of yourself that is always just one more achievement away. But presence is different. Presence is here. It is the moment that is already complete, if only you stop resisting it. Many people spend their entire lives trying to be perfect. They try to say the perfect words, wear the perfect image, present the perfect personality, reach the perfect success. But all of this striving causes suffering, because it is rooted in the fear of not being enough. The truth is, the pursuit of perfection is often a mask for self-doubt. The need to be perfect comes from the inability to sit with one's own humanness. But presence is an act of courage. It means you're willing to face this moment just as it is and face yourself just as you are, without hiding, without performing, without needing everything to be in place. You are not here to impress the world. You are here to experience it fully. Choosing presence over perfection is a daily discipline. It means that you listen more deeply. It means you slow down enough to actually feel the breath in your chest, the weight of your feet on the floor, the tone of someone's voice, the silence between words. Presence is not passive. It is intensely active. It requires your full attention, not just to what's outside, but to your inner state. And when you are present, life reveals itself not as something to control, but something to participate in. There is no need to manipulate, to cover up, to perform. You are simply here with what is, responding from clarity rather than reacting from fear. Perfectionism is a trap. It whispers that you must fix yourself before you are worthy, that you must delay your piece until every piece fits. But life doesn't work that way. Life is not a project to complete. It is a mystery to be lived. In chasing perfection, we miss the very moments that make life meaningful. We ignore the small joys. We skip over the present in favor of an imagined future. We become so focused on doing it right that we forget to just be. But presence breaks that illusion. When you are fully here, you realize there is nothing to fix, only something to understand. You stop needing to be perfect because you realize you are already whole. Not because you have no flaws, but because you are no longer at war with them. To choose presence is to sit in discomfort without needing to escape. It is to feel anxiety without rushing to suppress it. It is to speak your truth even when your voice shakes. It is to listen without preparing your reply. It is to move through your day with awareness, not just momentum. It is to look someone in the eye and actually see them, rather than projecting your thoughts onto them. It is to taste your food, to hear the birds, to feel your heartbeat, to cry when you need to cry, to laugh when joy arises. This is not weakness. This is strength. It is the strength to be real in a world addicted to image. Presence is where healing begins, because it allows you to see what is actually there When you are caught in the idea of perfection, you deny what is. You avoid your wounds. You push away your fears. You pretend to be fine when you are not. But when you become present, you create space. You allow what is hidden to come into the light. You stop living from the mind's expectations and start living from the heart's awareness. And slowly, things begin to shift. Not because you are forcing them, but because you are no longer resisting them. Choosing presence also means embracing impermanence. Everything is passing. Every moment, every breath, every thought, every feeling. Nothing stays. And that is why presence is so precious. It is the only way to truly meet life before it moves on. Perfection wants to freeze the moment, polish it, make it last forever. But presence bows to the moment as it is and lets it go with grace. There is freedom in that. The freedom to be human, the freedom to try, to fall, to rise, to not know, to simply be. Presence does not require you to be always calm or always wise. It just asks that you are honest, that you show up, that you feel what is here without hiding from it. Some days you will feel strong, some days you will feel lost. Presence includes both. It does not judge, it just sees. And in that seeing, you begin to soften. You begin to accept. And from acceptance, true change can arise. Not change that is forced, but change that is rooted in understanding. Let go of the idea that you must become someone else. Let go of the belief that you must do more, be more, prove more. Right now, in this breath, you are allowed to be exactly as you are. That is not complacency. That is the foundation for all genuine growth. You do not need to be perfect to be present. But you do need to be present to become whole. When you choose presence, you become available to life. You begin to notice the details. The way the light falls across the floor, the tone in someone's voice when they say they're fine but really aren't, the sensation in your body when you're about to say yes but mean no. These are the doorways to deeper truth. And only presence can open them. Perfection will always demand more. It will never be satisfied. But presence is content with this moment. Presence is not lazy, it is focused, it is alive, and it is the birthplace of all meaningful action. When you are present, your actions have weight, your words have depth, your silence has strength, because you are no longer scattered. You are no longer pretending, you are here. Each morning you have a choice, to chase perfection or to choose presence. One path will exhaust you, the other will ground you. Perfection is like a mirage. It looks beautiful from a distance, but disappears when you get close. Presence is like water. It nourishes you with every sip. Choose water. Choose presence. Not just once, but over and over, moment by moment, breath by breath. This is the quiet power that transforms a life. This is the real practice. Today is my training ground. Life does not wait until you are ready. It begins the moment you open your eyes. And each day that arrives brings its own set of tests. Not always loud, not always dramatic, but subtle, consistent, and deeply personal. The concept of a training ground is not reserved for athletes or warriors. It applies to anyone walking the path of self-awareness. It means recognizing that every challenge, every delay, every misunderstanding, and every joy is an opportunity to practice something deeper. Discipline, patience, kindness, honesty, focus. These are not abstract ideas to think about, they are qualities to embody. And there is no better place to cultivate them than in the unfolding moments of your daily life. When you begin to see your day as a dojo, then even the smallest irritation becomes a tool for refinement. The way someone cuts you off in traffic becomes your chance to practice calm. The way your plans change unexpectedly becomes your lesson in flexibility. The moment you feel resistance to someone else's opinion becomes your exercise in humility and listening. Nothing is wasted if you see it this way. Many people wait for ideal conditions to begin their growth. They think they will be more disciplined once life is less chaotic, more mindful when they have more time, more patient when people become easier to deal with. But this mindset delays everything. If you are waiting for the world to change before you change, you are giving your power away. The conditions are never perfect. They are only what they are. But they are enough. The difficult coworker, the traffic jam, the miscommunication, the aching body, the long line, the restless mind, each of these is your teacher. The moment you stop resisting the conditions of your life, you can begin training in them. You can begin to sharpen the edges of your awareness, deepen your breath in discomfort, choose your responses instead of reacting blindly. Every moment holds the possibility for mastery. To treat today as your training ground is to shift from a reactive state to a responsive one. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what is this here to teach me? This shift changes everything. You no longer feel attacked by life, you feel engaged by it. You become a participant, not a victim. And in this participation you build inner strength. Strength that is quiet but unshakable. It grows not from control, but from surrendering to the reality of the moment and responding with clarity. You begin to walk with intention, speak with care, and act with awareness. That is training, not the kind you do once in a while, but the kind that becomes your lifestyle. This approach requires humility. You do not expect to master yourself in a single day. You understand that some lessons will take years to internalize, but you also understand that each repetition matters. Just as a musician trains by practicing scales daily, you train your mind and heart by how you handle the repetition of ordinary life. And in this repetition, something changes. You become less reactive. You recover more quickly. You speak more truthfully. You listen more deeply. You act with more presence. These are not sudden transformations. They are the result of consistent training. Training does not mean perfection. Some days you will stumble. You will lose your temper, act out of fear, forget your values. But these moments are not failures. They are feedback. They show you where your practice needs attention. They are part of the training. You do not quit the path because you fell. You get up, reflect, adjust, and walk forward with greater awareness. The training ground is not about never falling. It is about learning to fall more consciously and to rise more wisely. It is also important to remember that this training is internal. No one else needs to know that you are practicing. There is no applause, no audience, no reward for your patience, your silence, your steady breath. The results are invisible at first, but over time you begin to notice. You are less shaken by criticism, less dependent on validation, more rooted in your own being. That is the fruit of inner training. It cannot be bought, borrowed, or inherited. It must be earned moment by moment. There will be days when the training feels intense. Days when everything seems to go wrong. days when your emotions feel louder than your wisdom. These are the most important days to stay with your practice, because those are the days when growth happens beneath the surface, when your nervous system learns to stay open under pressure, when your mind learns to observe rather than react, when your heart learns to stay soft even when it's tired. These are the days that shape your character. The gentle days are necessary too. They are your rest. But the difficult days are where depth is carved. To treat today as your training ground also means being gentle with yourself. Training is not about punishing yourself into change. It is about guiding yourself with care. If you notice your mind drifting into negativity, gently bring it back. If you speak harshly, pause and reflect. If you forget your practice, begin again. The key is not to be flawless. The key is to keep showing up. To keep choosing awareness over autopilot. To keep coming back to the breath, to the body, to the present. That is how training becomes transformation. This mindset also brings meaning to your challenges. You begin to see your struggles not as curses, but as part of your curriculum. Every person who irritates you is part of your training. Every delay, every failure, every unfulfilled expectation is part of your curriculum. You do not need to like it, you just need to meet it. Face it with a steady gaze, breathe through it, walk with it. Let it shape you. This is the way of inner mastery. You are not at the mercy of the day. You are in training with it. The most powerful part of this practice is that it does not require anything external. You don't need special tools, ideal circumstances, or advanced knowledge. You just need to show up for today with presence, with humility, with willingness. And over time, this way of being becomes who you are. Not someone who is perfect, but someone who is prepared. Someone who does not crumble at the first sign of discomfort. Someone who remains rooted in storms and soft in calm. That is the power of daily training. So when you rise in the morning, tell yourself, today is my training ground, and then treat it that way. Every conversation, every task, every challenge is part of your practice. You are not waiting for life to give you the conditions to grow. You are growing in whatever conditions life gives you. That is the mark of a disciplined spirit. That is the quiet revolution of a focused mind. And that is the way forward. Step by step, breath by breath, moment by moment. I have